Hello guys, welcome to another video where we will be showing today on how to do the Avior boss and all the trash packs before you get to that boss. I'll be guiding you guys through what we're gonna do each pack, how they work, and then as last on how to kill the Avior boss phase by phase, so you get to know every single mechanic that's gonna go in that battle, so that you have a better understanding of how the boss actually works and hopefully helps you that way to bring it down as a raid. So first pack we're gonna clear is the random eyes. You will see here now the eyes don't have real big mechanic. You see them back again on the at the beginning of Nihaz Citadel before you do the first boss. So basically how the eyes work is that whenever these eyes get together, they're going to be beaming each other, and one of the eyes is going to explode and deal some massive damage to the raid, while the other eye is getting buffed and does periodic explosions the whole time, as you can see here on the footage. It's not a big deal. As you see, people are not taking a lot of damage. I think that's also because since the big nerf they brought to PvE content in general, where people take a lot of less damage than before. But basically it's just simply nothing special, it's just DPSing it down. It doesn't really have a mechanic. Now it does help when you bring two of those adds together, because one will sacrifice the other for the big absorption, so you only have to kill one instead of having to kill two. Then over to the next pack, which is located in the east-west of the minimap, as you can see. This features two big boys and four normal shadow mobs that just do ranged attacks with the balls you have to avoid, and the big mob simply do a long casting that's gonna do heavy damage on the tank but is interruptible. So I suggest you to be ready to keep CCs ready for the big ones to interrupt their castings, and the small ones are simply avoiding the ranged attacks, nothing else you can do there. So it's easy to go group them all up and AoE them down. Periodically, as you can see on the raid interface as well, people are getting debuffs or dots, as we call them now, because we found out they're doing damage over time only when you are moving. So if you have the dot, you can either get purified, especially if you're a puri class such as the priest, the druid, or the summoner, to purify yourself. That way you can still move around to avoid these balls you see firing from the dark mobs that are firing them out, or you simply don't move and you just shield up when the balls are going your way, so you stop taking damage. So you only take damage from this dot when you're moving. As you can see, also this storm casting that's going on, that is from the big guy that's doing it periodically, so you can simply interrupt it by crowd controlling that mob, or the tank has to go full defense mode and hopefully he survives. Always better to avoid rather than recover, so it's better to interrupt that casting. On to the next pack we're gonna see here is two tentacle guys. There's two demons and one flying demon. Now what they're gonna do as follows: the two tentacle guys are going to be casting circles on the floor that's gonna follow people for several attacks, which is just avoidable. And they also can cast a certain ability that's going to pull everyone towards that same monster, so pull everyone together. You can simply interrupt that. Now if it does manage to pull everyone together, I don't think it does a lot of damage. It's just gonna do an AoE right after that if it completes the casting. But like I said before, it's always better to avoid than recover, so just interrupt that cast and that's really it. Now the two other smaller NPCs you see are simply just basic attacks on the tank, and they also put the DOT or debuff on the elite aggro players. So usually the tanks in this case are going to receive a debuff. Now this debuff is stating that if the player manages to get another attack that applies this debuff, it's going to be a one shot. So once you have one debuff, it's a warning. If you have a second debuff, you're going to instantly die, and that's going to be it. Pack number 3. Now on this pack, as you can see, there are two dogs which are going to be jumping around, deal damage that way. Now in order to kill them quicker, the engineers or the bards, whoever is playing the support role, needs to dispel them periodically all the time. because they're gonna stack up buffs on themselves, which are going to make them tankier to kill, but they also deal more damage that way. So it's better for the supports to focus on these dogs and simply dispel all the time when they see them stacking up. Now the small balls are simply trash packs for AoE. You just pull them together and get them all down. And then the tank tackle guy is the same as before, but it's random fire circles that are following people around, so you avoid that. And you try to interrupt as well whenever he's casting the tornado ability, which is going to end up pulling everybody together. Really good hint as well if you have a raid with a lot of engineer DPS as we have in ours. It's a good thing to focally rotate your spider suppressors, because apparently the buff that applies for the extra damage dealing on DPS aspect is universal, meaning that every engineer in the raid benefits from one person's spider suppressor. So if you can, just rotate your spider suppressor so you can apply that debuff on all the mobs together, so all your engineers are doing a lot of more damage over a longer time period than they would on their own. Starting pack 4. As you see on this pack, you have a big demon dog with some trash eyes that is just AoE and some winged demons. And how it works here is that one person is gonna have to focus on the big dog and call out who he's going to charge at, because he's going to be charging all the time like a bull on players, and you'll have to avoid him all the time. For the small eyes, it's simply a pulling and AoEing. Now the big winged guys, the demons, those are the annoying parts. We're trying to AoE them as well on top of the ice and keep them permanently CC'd. If they're not CC'd, they're going to be charging at people as well randomly and then exploding in AoE. So we're trying to avoid them from spreading out and rushing at people and do an AoE circle. We're trying to keep them grouped, as you will see here, and keep them mass CC'd that way. Demo tank currently works really well with this. For the time being, as they can stun them for about 5 seconds every time they charge, and in between those charges we're trying to do a CC with whatever whatever works in between, like Idos fires and spider suppressors. If they do get spread around, it's good to have a warrior tank as your second tank, because that class can use harpoon to pull them all together again in case they get spread. For the eyes, you see as a tank that they will most likely ignore your aggro, because the eyes are set to randomly follow anyone at choice. So it's better to keep them CC'd as well on top of the winged demons and keep them AoE'd on top of the winged demons as well. There is a dot on this pack that's being applied to people. This is simply damage over time, which would be better to be purified when possible, because it deals quite a lot of damage actually for a dot on its own. Following pack, you will see the same monsters as you've seen before, which is the ghost monsters, and then accompanied by one fire elemental monster. And the fire elemental monsters is what you should focus first, because those are the ones hitting hardest on the tanks. And then the ghost monsters are simply to avoid the fireballs they're firing at people. Don't forget that these monsters also apply a dot again on people, that when you move you only take damage, so make sure to stop moving whenever you have the dot, or simply get purified or purify yourself before moving. Following pack, you will see mobs again that you've seen before, so the eyes that are hovering are simply trash AoE, and then the monsters are simply as well AoE and avoiding the balls. Now the big guy is in the middle with the shield around him is simply a reflect. How we go to work here is that one tank is going to take this big guy away and kites him around all the time, while the other tank is going to AoE tank the other trash monsters and AoE them down until they're all dead. Once all of them have died, we all turn to the big guy and DPS that one down. How that one works is that whenever he stands still during combat, he's going to build up stacks. The more stacks he has, the more damage he reflects back to everybody that's attacking him. So the other tank is gonna kite him around, so in order for him to keep moving, if he keeps moving, he loses the stacks, and that way you can easily kill him without your raid getting back reflex damage. It's kind of the same mechanic as you find back with Cyclops in Land of Thousand Wings on heroic compasses. And next up we have the last fight, probably the most interesting fight of the whole raid, and that is Avior himself. Now before you start fighting Avior, you have to split your raid into 2 different parties and position them on the each party on each side of Avior, so one on the left feet and one on the right feet of Avior. Then when the balls are coming, those balls are basically pots that will spawn the monsters on the floor from Avior, which you will have to kill first, because Avior himself won't be touchable until you clear those packs. So these packs are part of phase number 1, which will be differentiated into 3 different phases. First phase is the 2 ghost monsters with the fire elemental, which is simply an AoE down. Second phase of the first phase is gonna be the ice that you will be AoEing down, and there will be a dog spawning on one of the 2 parties. So there's only gonna be one dog. It's gonna be randomly on a certain party, and that party has to push some extra damage to keep up with the other party in order to be killing him on time. Now the dog, again, same as before, don't forget to dispel him with every support player you have, so he's easier to kill rather than he's being tanky. Then the third phase of the first phase, you'll have the tentacle guy again with 2 demons along with him. So the tentacle guy, really watch out that he doesn't successfully cast tornado ability in order for him to pull everybody to you. It did happen that we fucked up on there and that the other party got pulled all the way over the arena to our monster, and that's when you fuck up the mechanics really, and it's pretty much already a wipe. So you first focus that tentacle guy and interrupt CC where possible, then you clear the leftover demons, which are simply basic attack damage on the tanks, and then comes the more tricky part for the 2 tanks together. While the 2 tanks are under the boss tanking him, they're gonna have to swap aggro all the time, as you can see that they're getting debuffs stacking up on them every time they are tanking the boss. Those debuffs are going to make sure that they take more damage the longer they tank the boss. In order to avoid this debuff, it needs to get purified by the healer, so it's very important that healers pay attention to purifying every time purification is off cooldown. And you'll see also this ability that the boss casts on the whole raid, throwing down some kind of fireball on everybody, and then applies a fire dot that is simply a medical or sonata to cleanse the whole party of your party. So really important to do that. After you've done some damage to the boss, as you can see about 25%, you're gonna go to the second phase again, and then you start with the first phase of the second phase, and you'll have to do the same thing as before, clear the monsters with the same rotation. So fire elemental with 2 ghost monsters, you just AoE them down. After some time, then the others will spawn, which are the ice again, and then the eye monsters will be together with a dog, and the dog will be on certain random party. And then after that, it's again the tentacle guy with 2 demons alongside him, and you will get those down as well. Now during all of this, there's still nothing going on with Avior. He's not doing any damage or attacking during while the parties are dealing with these monsters, so he's simply waiting there until the 2 parties clear both monster packs before he gets available for combat. Now it does happen if you're lacking damage that he's going to be available for damage before the packs are even dead. That's a small signal to let you know that you need to push up your damage numbers, or that you're going to have a problem struggling at the end. The tanks really have to watch out that they go on the boss on time. Really important as well is that people do not go near the tanks while they're tanking the boss, because during the tanking they're gonna have these beams, dark beams onto them, as you can see on the footage right now, and if you happen to get too close to that, you're gonna take a beam on you and you might really die quickly if you're not a tank player, because it does deal some quite damage. Avior's health is also dropping while you kill the packs, so they're kind of linked together to each other, so they're kind of one big entity. And this third phase is gonna get interesting, because there's gonna be a third mob appearing, and it's gonna be the big bull again. And the big bull, how that works is that he's gonna randomly target people and charge through, which is very annoying to do while clearing these packs here as well, because people are always going to die on the charge. What we did instead here is that we picked one person assigned to that bull, and he's going to lure him away, all the way away from the arena, as you can see on this picture, and he's gonna keep him there. That way the bull is always gonna go charging on that one person, which he can avoid far away from the actual raid, and other people don't have to bother with him. Now, in order for this to succeed, it's really important that both parties run away during the transition from the boss's phase to the third phase, so that only one person is visible to that bull and he can pull him away on time. If you do fail on that, then you're gonna see that the bull is gonna go for one of the other parties instead, and you're gonna mix him up in the actual raid kill for the boss, which is gonna add some more difficulty layers to the killing. Also, important notes to add is that person that's gonna keep the bull away from the raid is also gonna be unavailable all the way until the end of the raid. So it's important that you really distribute your damage, your DPS, so that you still have enough DPS to clear both packs, while that one party is missing that one player that's gonna do the kiting of that bull instead. Once back on the boss, that's really it. So there's 3 phases where ads are spawning. Once you've passed the 3rd phase and that person is still playing rodeo with that bull, you're simply left to kill the boss, and that's really it. Then it's simply a matter of having to purify the tanks all the time and DPSing the boss down. One thing I forgot to notice is that you see that 2 people are randomly periodically always getting the blue purple-ish circles. Now the point for these circles is that people stack up on those people, because the damage they will get will be spread over the amount of people that are in the circle when it ends. So the more people are in the circle, the less damage everybody takes. As you can see perfectly on the example, we're stacking so that damage will spread. If you are alone, you might get one shot and die. Thank everyone for watching. You know what to do if you like the video. You'll probably know what to do if you want to see more in the future. And you guys will see me on the next upload. Until then,